As we resume our studies in the book of Ezra today, we pick up the story in chapters 5 and 6. And as I've said on other occasions, it will help us to learn from this passage if we all have our Bibles open at these two chapters. So if you are able to do so, please turn to chapter 5 and 6. But first, a retrospect. In chapter 3, the people who'd returned from the exile reconsecrated themselves to the Lord and resolved to build the ruined temple, the centre of their religious life. However, their determination did not provide an easy way to success, as we saw in chapter 4. Nevertheless, the present two chapters show that victory was achieved by God's persevering people. Thus, after little was done for 16 years, the work was resumed. And these two chapters described how this took place. First on the scene were two prophets, the visionary Zechariah and the practical Haggai. Through their encouragement, the leaders of the people were stirred to action, as we see at the beginning of chapter 5. They were able to prompt the lesser leaders, as we see in chapter 6, verse 14. And the people as a whole were then aroused from defeat to complete the task. Now we need to notice that nothing had occurred to their external circumstances to suggest that this was a good time to restart the project. When we read Haggai chapter 1 verses 6 to 11, it's clear that these were dark days and hard times. Zechariah could describe it as a day of small things in his prophecy in chapter 4 verse 10. And the book we're reading makes it clear that there was a constant threat and unabated opposition. Just look at chapter 5 and verses 3 and 4. And yet the work was concluded in a remarkably quick time. Chapter 6 verses 13 and following tells us it was in only 4.5 years. In hindsight, it's clear that God was in control, and that behind what William Cowper calls the frowning providence, God allowed renewed opposition in order to give fresh impetus for the work and to evoke fresh faith and courage. Moreover, in the end, the enemies overstretched themselves and were utterly defeated, as all the benefits of state protection and help were offered to the returnees, and with no strings attached.